What's up, Home Slices? It's Kiera with Home Slice Adulting coming to you with my review for The Circle Season 3, Episode 2. Okay, The Circle is a reality slash game show on Netflix. It is called the Social Media Competition. Basically, it's a cross between a popularity contest and a social experiment. It's basically like the producers of this show must have hired some psychologists to figure out what types of twists we can do to mess with these people's minds. So, in addition to us living in a world filled with social media where we have a lot of standards about how we are perceived by other people, we are also on top of that gonna layer in the fact that people are going to lie about who they are. We're going to also layer on top of that some little societal little psychological measures, like throwing in a curveball, like last season they did the Joker, right? Which they only did for a little bit. It didn't make sense for them to throw in the Joker just once. If there was like multiple Jokers throughout the show, or if the Joker got to come back, that would have made more sense or whatever. But this time around, what they have is a loser come back for a second chance and clone one of the existing players and try to make people think that they are the real person. A very interesting twist, but I don't like it. And the reason I don't like it is because it's elder abuse, okay? It's elder abuse for Ava and Chanel, even though they talk so much about Jesus, to pick on 52-year-old Michelle. And the reason why it's elder abuse is that 52-year-old Michelle does not have the same type of tech savvy or quick response to come back with and defend herself appropriately. And we found that out almost right away. Now, to be fair, Ava and Chanel absolutely picked the best target. Because Michelle does not have the same social media, I'm always communicating via text or that type of attitude, she hasn't made as many connections or one-on-one connections with other people. The hottest, most single, most sleep-withable people on the show are the ones that are going to connect one-on-one with other people. Those are the best chances. So she can't do Nick, who of course wants to sleep with people because he's single and available. They can't do Calvin because he's single and available and wants to sleep with people and has probably already made a connection with somebody else, which opens the door for there to be conflicting stories. They can't do, they could have done Daniel, but because Daniel's a guy and because Daniel is also gay, it would have made it more challenging for them to portray him, let alone he's also a virgin. So there's that. It was going to be difficult for them to be Ashley because Ashley is also gay. And so at the end and it was hard for them to be Kay because Kay was so popular. She probably made multiple connections with other people as well. So the issue became that it really was only down to the last couple of people, and they picked Michelle. Michelle seemed like the easiest target because she's older, because she didn't make the most connections. So I will give Ava and Chanel the fact that they chose the best person to do this to, okay? So that's number one. Look, Michelle Buteau, I freaking love her, okay? And when she said that they would be circle lurkers, I thought that was hilarious. And so the other piece of this and the sneaky part of it and the whole social experiment, and they had to have hired some psychologists or something like that, is that they allowed these lurkers, these circle lurkers, Ava and Chanel, into the group chat that they would not have been privy to if they actually left the competition, right? So For me, that's really the unfair part, is that they get to be privy to information that they wouldn't have been privy to, which allows them to more easily play Michelle. So now they're all in a chat together. Of course, the person who speaks up first is going to get benefit of the doubt. So Blue Michelle, which is the fake Michelle, chimes in, and now as they're playing dumb and they're, oh, I don't know what's happening, and bless your heart, and they're putting it on extra thick. And in those moments, because the real Michelle is so shocked, she does not respond in a way that makes any sense, really. I think she was just so shocked that somebody else was portraying her or pretending to be her, that she just really did not know how to respond. And basically anything she said was gonna be compared to what the other person said. So it's one of those things where, like, if you don't tell the story, somebody else will, and she should not have allowed the other person to speak up. If it was me, I would have just did a quick circle chat, I'm the real Michelle, hashtag no fakes over here, and put it up there. And when you get in first, it creates doubt on the other person. So for me, Michelle's first mistake was not jumping in. The real Michelle's first mistake was not jumping in and saying, that it was her. Everything else was her being on the defense. The problem is, they're two different people in those situations. Like the other players, they're the players who reserve their judgment for later once they find out more information, which are people like Roxana, who really is like, you never know. Then you have the people like Kay, who are like, okay, she said bless your heart one time, which is a very well-known saying, and now Kay is 100% sure that the orange Michelle is the real Michelle, and that's not even true. So there's people who make up their minds right away, and whether it's right or wrong, they stick to it. And so Kay is like really not having it, and she's wrong as the day is long, okay? But other people like Roxana, because she's kind of playing the middle a little bit, she gets to hear both sides of the story. Roxana was the only person who really asked for any identifying information. I feel like Michelle, the real Michelle, didn't get in and talk to as many people as possible. She really went in and did more one-on-one conversations as opposed to trying to convince groups of people at the same time, which is what the fake Michelles did. Then she also wasted time and wasted a chat confronting the wrong Michelle. It's like, you don't have to convince this person that you're the real Michelle. They know you the real Michelle. Okay, they don't need to give you an explanation. $100,000 is 100,000 explanations. Okay, that's all you need to know. That this is a social experiment. There's a different twist every season, and girl, whatever. So the big part that where people kind of are not really thinking the game through is when they did the game. Like, I can't remember what the name of it was. It was like, who is it? Or who am I? Or whatever. Or which one is me? Whatever the name of the game was, where there would be pictures displayed and both Michelles would have to tell the story behind the picture. So the issue was that Blue Michelle sounded convincing because they used an emotional angle to distract from the fact that they didn't know any details of the story. So I also will say Ava and Chanel did their homework as much as they possibly could. So when the real Michelle, Orange Michelle, was saying the things, like describing those photos, she was giving details. I won a sales competition, right? Like she was like, I was the best salesperson at my job. So we won a trip to the Bahamas and we didn't have a lot of money. So we went horseback riding. Those are a lot of details. She talks about her work. She talks about that she won the trip and describes the location of the trip. And she talks about who she was with in the photo. The fake Michelles only talk about the scenery looks nice, things that you can see in the photo. She has a wedding ring on in the photo, so she knows it's with her husband, or knows that she's at least married at the time. Um, Horseback riding is romantic, so it's literally romantic, and they assume that because this person is thinking of more emotional things, that she's an older woman and that she, you know, is thinking fondly on this memory. And it's like, no, she's using that to distract from the fact that she doesn't know any details. And so the other players are getting mixed up in that and not honing in on these are details. And then there's the photo that shows her in her actual wedding dress. Now, Calvin thought that he was being smart by saying that picture was at least from the 80s. No way that happened 20 years ago, which would have been the year 2000. And no way that hairstyle or that dress was from that time. Now, the issue with that is when you think about the place where the real Michelle lives, it's a small rural town in South Carolina. I joke about this with my fiance all the time, is that we currently live in the state of Washington, which is very progressive and forward thinking. When we go back home to the South, I joke with Calvin that we're getting in a time machine. Like, we're literally going back 10 or 20 years in time, depending on where in the South you go. If we're going to Louisiana, Georgia, maybe Louisiana and Georgia, we're going back about 10 years. When you get into Mississippi and Alabama, you're going back about 20, 25 years, okay? And so when you think about those places and those towns that don't have the same forward thinking, that don't have the same amount of resources, you can imagine going to a Goodwill in some country a town in South Carolina and getting a dress that's from the 80s. The problem is that picture did look like it was from the 80s, but when you consider that it's in a rural town in South Carolina, you got to subtract 20 more years from that, okay? That's the issue, is that they're not considering the geography as well. So the picture did look older. But she, of course, added more details. The real Michelle added more details. You know, when I married my husband, we were both single parents. We didn't have a lot of money. I got this dress from the Goodwill. She described where she got the dress from. She's giving details about her husband. The other one, again, was getting overly sentimental because she didn't have any details. My grandmother made me this dress and this was for a special occasion, and, you know, didn't give any details at all. Then the last picture, she's going fishing. And of course, again, we focus on the emotional bit about going fishing with our families. The real Michelle said, my kids don't even like fishing. The real Michelle knew what type of fish it was. The real Michelle knew that she had to take a selfie because nobody was going to believe that she actually caught a fish. She identified what was on the t-shirt, that it was a Clemson t-shirt, and then she said, go Tigers. The only real Tigers you need to worry about in the SEC is LSU, okay? That's the real Go Tigers. And it's GEAUX, Tigers, okay? But anyways, so she identified what was on the shirt as well. So people are just really not considering all the facts. And it's so annoying. It's annoying to me how clever Ava and what's the girl's name? Chanel? Ava and Chanel are. What I will say is that they're playing the game. They're playing the game how it needs to be played. It just feels like elder abuse. And I don't. It doesn't feel good, okay? It does not feel good. It especially didn't feel good to hear how upset Michelle was when she did the private chat with the other Michelles. Again, a mistake. Who cares that you're having this conversation with this one Michelle? If she was smart, she would have put some people who she felt that weren't all the way on her side in that chat as well, and they could have battled it out in front of some other people. But anyways, I think that I already know how this is going to go because I actually saw a clip online and didn't realize that it was from this show. And the in the clip, is, I think, Chanel and Ava. Never mind. I'm not going to spoil it for you because I actually don't know for sure. But I did see a clip of The Circle on social media and I didn't realize that it was from this show. So I'm not going to spoil it for you. But anyways, y'all, this show is getting ridiculous, okay? Absolutely ridiculous. I'm, it's elder abuse, okay? I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm going to continue to watch. And I'm just going to pray that Ava and Chanel get their just desserts. And I hope that the desserts is not 100,000 of them. Okay, anyways. So I'm done with this. I, again, left us on a cliffhanger. So now I got to watch the third episode. Peace out, home slices. I got to go.